the fuck? Hello. Hello, hello. I'm about to start. How am I doing this? Just testing some stuff before I start. Hey, somebody on Twitch type something in the chat. nice jasmine. Hmm. Hey, Cam. Oh shit. Be right back. Back. Okay. Hey guys, feel free to ask me any question. Would you say your blending skills come from your knowledge of values? Yeah, probably. No, I don't really call it blending. I would call it modeling. I gotta turn off the music because they're gonna ban me. I need some kind of royalty-free stuff. Yeah, so I call it modeling. Basically, it's you know, thinking about whether, how much the planes are turned towards the light. Right, let's go. So I'm still sort of setting stuff up. I've been trying that out, thinking in a 3D point of view. Yes, this is, I think, a crucial skill when you're learning to draw, is to sort of, I always start my workshops by saying, think of Photoshop as a really shitty 3D program where you have to do it, where you have to do everything yourself. It's just about primitives sort of floating in space, right? So, and then when they're behind something, right, or you can move them, in front of something, but you have to do everything yourself, right? So, when the object casts a shadow, right, you have to place the shadow yourself, basically, right? You have to figure out where the shadows are, and then you have to figure out how to model stuff, right? So here, there would be a shadow here. The shadow will, if there's a ground plane, like say a piece of paper, right? Doesn't matter how, this object will block the light for the piece of paper. The shadow on this thing will go like that, right? And then for the modeling, you basically work from the edges of the shadow towards the area that's turned most toward the light, which is called the full light. What's happening here on the? I'll be right back. So I pause the video. That's right. Alright, sorry. So modeling is basically you go from the object edge, you model towards the area that's most turned towards the light, and that's called the full light, right? And you do that according to a Lambertian gradient, And that's basically it. That's how you draw. That's my YouTube channel. That would just be that video. I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but thing is, like, that piece of information that I just told you, that's all you need to know. That's what drawing is, you know. This idea, and color is something else, but drawing is, that's all about that. Trying to picture a 3D space, and you know, imagine these like a complicated drawing as a series of, you know, just simple 3D objects. And practice, yes, that's the most important thing. This is pictures of picture of Alphonse Musha. He's like a painter, so he's kind of famous. But I just found it on Pinterest. But I kind of want to change the baby into some kind of squid kind of thing, and then have some other sort of beast behind them. So it just becomes more of a illustration. I have this layer where I started doing that. So it's like a fin and then some tentacles. Maybe it could just be like a fish tail. You know, that would kind of work too. And then some kind of eldritch horror somewhere here. Some kind of Hellboy kind of creature. Because like that is just a photocopy. That's maybe a little boring, right? we can have the wrapping. So we have to find a way to keep this kind of stuff, and then have the tail come out of that. I'm thinking these are where the legs are. So maybe. So let's just start to draw that stuff. Yeah, so I have a habit of just, I love working from reference, but it feels kind of, not so original. So I always, when I do a study, I try to combine working, you know, adding a little bit of like my own vibe to it. So, people might still recognize the reference, but at least, it's sort of like titillating. Titillating. Is that a word? Is that a word in English? So I'm actually multi-streaming on four, four different spots. I'm streaming on Twitch. I'm streaming on Twitter. I'm streaming on YouTube, and I'm streaming on TikTok, all at the same time. I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun. I thought it's something to try out. Wait, where's my render layer? What? What happened? Ah, here we go. I threw this stuff on top of everything. Let's get rid of that. Yeah. Well, that's good, but I cannot advertise. All the platforms are equal. It's in the TOS. You cannot try to get people from one service to the next, to a different service. Anyway, let's talk about drawing instead. So, yeah, we've gotten to sort of the boring part of the render, which is doing all the cloth and So it'll just take a while. You know, some people leave out the head for last, sort of to keep something that's interesting, but I don't recommend doing that. Since the head is sort of the deciding factor for your drawing, you know, you gotta put it in the beginning so you know what your character looks like, right? If you don't have an interesting head, you have nothing, in my opinion. You can't have a drawing with like a shitty face, you know, that's so you don't wait, you know, because other decisions in the drawing might depend on what you have, you know, your character look like. It's on Gumroad, so you could do Jens Claessens, my name, Gumroad. Is the one called Pencil Brush. It's a pretty cool brush. What makes it better than other brushes is other pencil brushes is the fact that it's sharp. It's sharp when you zoom in, and now when you zoom out, that's what makes it look good in the end. You know, it stays sharp when you zoom out, and other pencil brushes I feel don't really do that. Be right back and try something. Alright, I'm back in the game. Why is this not disappearing? Go away, menu bar. I don't want that. Okay. Oh. Okay, I'm back. Some indication that there's some gills or something here. Good morning, Sloughy. Hey everybody, on all platforms. Let me move the reference a little closer. This just needs to go darker. Let's just fill in the dress. Maybe I have some kind of strap here. Hey, feel free to ask me some kind of questions. Maybe it's too early. Everybody's still asleep. Let's try and get this tail to look cool. Maybe I just need to draw all the scales or something. Wait, I messed up. You can't mess up with the scales, because it'll just look like shit. Gotta be patient, draw all the little, no, draw every single one of the scales. It's like with a bird, you gotta draw all of the feathers, just be patient and just do it. I think maybe the scaling is a little bit off. Need to be smaller. And now I just gotta draw some more of them. I don't know. I mean, we're not done with it. That's just where they are. Now we gotta render it. And then it will start to look good. So I'm gonna give some of the scales a little cast shadow, so it looks kind of more random. We'll see if I can pull it off. Maybe I'll just get rid of it if I don't like it. So we need a cool graphic shape for the tail, so it will stand out, against the black of the dress. Hey, nickname. Am I drawing? Yes, exactly. Well, it's gonna be some kind of it's just a sketchbook page, right? But I want it to be sort of Lovecraft inspired. So instead of just copying the reference, I'm just gonna try and you know put some cool spin on it. So and I want to have a bigger sort of tentacle creature in the back. I mean, it's all pretty random, but the idea is that it gets some kind of that you get some kind of Lovecraftian eldritch horror feel to it. You know, the women having motherly feelings for this you know child, this monster kid. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, classic stuff. Should the tail just go like that? Maybe. Hey Tyler, what's up? Can I look for fish? Girl holding fish wrapped in a blanket. Let's just do girl wrapped in blanket. Held by. So that's an AI prompt. Girl holding fish but in blanket. But I must not Google it. I must not use it. Because, you know, I'm sort of, if you do it, you're sort of heating up the planet for no reason. Hey, Yuke, Diana, thanks for being cool. Yeah, we all gotta resist the urge to. We don't need the AI stuff. The one time I tried using it for my work, I basically just yeah wasted a whole morning. Cause I had to draw like some kind of crystal dragon, sort of transparent crystal dragon. It's like how in the world am I going to draw this? And I just ended up just doing it myself anyway. It was completely pointless. Like I made some stuff with the AI and then tried painting over it. But it was just shit. So I just, I realized, what am I doing? And I just, restarted, basically wasting the entire morning. Because I thought, it'd go faster that way. The other time I used it for a job was when I had to draw a soldier with like tons of gear, and then the soldier was supposed to be wrapped in a semi transparent raincoat, a green semi transparent raincoat. The things they ask you to draw. It's pretty tough to think of how would that look, and there's really no reference for that. So I created some AI stuff, and for that thing it actually made, it didn't make any useful like stuff that I could use, but it made some stuff that basically I could copy some like photo bash some stuff off. Just some like reflections that looked acceptable. Hey Tyler, 2 a.m. Hope you don't got work tomorrow. I stayed up until 2 a.m. yesterday and I'm regretting it. Hey Jan, thanks for joining. Hey, if you like the stream, give me a follow, give me a like, because it helps. Little bits of help. And I'm basically just streaming my personal work. This is one of my favorite filters for doing this pencil style. Is called the camera raw filter, and you have this setting, this preset called soft mist, and what it does is sort of it lightens your, it darkens light midtones, and it lightens dark midtones. So it darkens light midtones and it lightens dark midtones. That sounds really painful to think of, but makes sense when you do it, right? So it's here, camera raw filter, right? And then you go to presets, and then you go to creative, right? But the thing is, it only shows up. Wait, what? Yes, so it's not gonna show up right now because there's no color in the image, right? So that's a weird thing. Filter kind of works two ways. It took me so long to figure out. So if you go to presets now, you have you have the soft mist one, right? And so I put it in favorites. But you see what happens. Like now I've applied it twice, and it sort of it crunches the detail. Sort of crunches the detail to like light midtones, and it feels very realistic if you do it. And then basically, you only have to re-add, your darks basically, right? Or you could even use an eraser and get them from the layer below, right? So, let me go back to the previous. So it was like this, so applying the filter twice makes it look like this, which is actually super cool. Like it looks really good, especially it makes it look very specular in this area. So that's what I want. So I'll keep that area, and then after that it's just sort of painting by hand, right? Does that make sense, guys? These are secrets, the secrets of Jens. You gotta go back in and do stuff manually, of course. Make it look custom made. Next year, I'm just thinking about doing only live, no more online workshops, only live workshops, and just do a ton of drawing, live streaming. I don't know why, but I've been watching this show called Severance. Anybody watch that? That's a pretty unique, unique setup for the show. Maybe if I put her thumb here, it looks sort of more caring. I'm only in episode number 3, so no spoilers. What's that? Ini? What does that mean? Ini does all the streams for what? I'm not following. Oh yeah, the ini. Yeah, of course. Sorry. Yes, of course, the ini, and the Audi. Sorry. Yeah, that'd be messed up. You know, you like it's like having a, just a, you sort of personalize for, and then the next second you got all this work done. You have no experience from it, and you're like, yeah, guess I'm an artist. But then the Audi is the least creative. I mean, the thing, I'm only, I'm only the third episode in, but so the girl is trying to deliver a message, right? But there's some sort of detector. But what would happen if she just carved the message in her body? You know? Is that something that's going to happen? Basically, they would have to just kill her, right? They don't want, or just keep her there. But then the scar will say, "Get me out of there." You know, if you just do like fucked up stuff to your own body, it will just appear in when they wake up out of their work slumber. What are they gonna do then? You know, they have to like basically just kill this person, kill them. And that's kind of, let's say you're not like a depressed loner. People will, with no friends, even in the case of just the normal guy, they would, even this depressed guy has, like carrying a family, right? So what then? And then I was watching. She did like she had to like apologize, and then she had to say it like the whole thing like 1,200 times. You know. I'm guessing the work. I would see it as a thing like, oh, that other person is also a human being. How long can he last? I mean, they would have to. Normally, cops they rotate. Just one goes home and then it can keep going. But in that show, there was only one guy. So I just wait until they would, I would try to defeat at least one guy. And then they'd have to call in somebody else, I'd make him sweat a little longer. Or I would just, you can just like refuse to say it. They had no electroshocks. I mean, not yet, but. Talking about Severance, for anybody wondering. But you guys probably don't know what happens next. So you can't say anything, right? That's right. That's the thing, right? You're probably like, but he doesn't know. I remember watching Berserk, thinking it was some kind of medieval show, and then the eclipse happens, and that was just so messed up. Hello, LDRW now. Did I find your style? Well, I think it just sort of grew naturally. I think what happens, when you draw, I feel like you sort of try to emulate your big inspirations when you start drawing, and then you sort of fail. You completely fail at doing so, and then your own style kind of emerges, and it sort of puts you in between all of your art heroes, somewhere in the vicinity. Let's say you have like the art spectrum. You make a spectrum from all the styles that exist. You'd be somewhere in there, close to those, right? You can probably make like a gradient of styles. Like if you look at the entire art, it's like all these kind of styles, and then these are close together. The way that Leyendecker and Norman Rockwell are sort of, they're sort of close, but they're not like copies, but they would sit somewhere you know, near each other, and they would have like a, you'd have like a sergeant here, right? And you have like a, Picasso would be somewhere over here, I think that's sort of the way style works, So you have like a whole spectrum of, and you have some similarities between styles. Um, I think, yeah, you get your style by just keeping, by just sort of trying to do what your big inspirations do, and then by failing to do so, you find your own style. If you really start, like increasing the amount you draw, I found like I recently, a couple of years ago, I started practicing like crazy again, and it taught me how to draw hands really well from imagination. Uh, but there's stuff that happens that you really don't have any control over. So I feel like it's a little bit pointless to, it'll, like, if you just start working and not thinking about it, I think it's just sort of emerges. But you probably need some kind of start to begin with. Because I have all these sketchbooks, right, that are over here. They're completely filled with drawings. Let me demonstrate. Right, so my sketchbooks are completely filled, with all kinds of experiments, drawings. Sorry for the glare. And so I think, yeah, I think that's important. You have a sketchbooks, and instead of just doing like this one. Oh, sorry, I need to put what's happening. Yeah, and yeah, so I think, well, this algorithm is messed up. Yeah, so I think it's important to when you just do like quick sketches, right? You're not really learning that much. Like, you need to sort of think of, what is the purpose, of your work, and the purpose is to be able to draw good characters, right? And you want to be able to fully render something, right? So I don't think it's about spending like 5 days on something, but you try to basically go through a certain process where you go from start to finish, and you create a fully rendered head, and then you try that over and over again, but you go all the way, you go like a full value range, rather than just doing quick line sketches. You sort of try to make it a finished drawing, I mean, if line is all you want to do, okay, no problem, then you do that. But if you sort of want to learn, to do this kind of, to have a more detailed style, yeah, then you have to sort of find a way to create something good. And you can't do that by just doing quick sketches. You sort of have to learn because to do the full value range, because yeah, in the beginning it's gonna be tough because you're gonna make all kinds of mistakes, but those mistakes, they teach you what doesn't work, right? So that's very important, and that's people are trying to avoid mistakes, basically, trying to do like a really good piece, and never draw something bad. And by doing that, they are only drawing bad stuff because it prevents you from going to the next level. You stop draw. You're not drawing any hard things. So and yeah, it's really important that you learn the stuff that doesn't work, right? So the next time you make a sketch, you'll be like, oh, I remember, when I did this last time, I, messed up my entire drawing and it looked like shit. So, it's not, that you're gonna like stop there. Maybe with the rendering, try something else, right? So that's the thing. For studying rendering like this, it's recommended to spend 1 hour practicing on a single piece or 10 to 15 minutes, various exercises. Yeah, like I said, just actually that's the answer. The stuff that I just said. I think it's more important. I mean, quick sketches are good for studying things like anatomy and hands. So it's quite important as well. So you should have some quick sketching routine as well. But if you never learn how to finish stuff or draw stuff more fast or more complete, then yeah, you won't have a way to finish stuff. Your style will remain very sketchy, and something cool might come out of that as well. But yeah, it's sort of all about priorities. That the things that you think are important. Some people just stick with the line art, and then they learn how to do color in a different way. Or rendering, they just do it differently. Let's try something crazy on a different layer. Oh, that's silly. Just first gonna do all the rest. Yeah, you have to learn how to sort of finish stuff. Very important. I mean, you do realize that 50 minutes is a very short time. I think a better question would be is, do you spend 2 hours on something or 60 hours? That's sort of a better equation. Do I recommend drawing? Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really how I learned to draw. Um, I learned to draw painting only digitally or mostly, and so I'm a lot less strong in that. If I think if you learn how to paint, for example, with something like gouache or acrylics or whatever, it's gonna help you, just understand color in a more, you know, at a more base level. Because yeah, it's just way harder. So if you manage to become really good at doing traditional color, for example, you will just have a lot less hard time painting in color. But yeah, digital has a lot of crazy possibilities. So if you're only, if you only do traditional, you'll probably never get good at doing digital either. So it's kind of tricky, you know, because sometimes, yeah, people who go from only traditional to digital, they sort of end up with boring ways to paint digitally. And there's a lot of cool ways to paint digitally that's, almost like experimental. I don't know if you know Jeff Simpson, for example. When you see him paint digital, it's like, kind of crazy, experimental stuff. You don't have to, you don't have to. That's the thing. It's not necessary. Drawing is drawing, no matter how you do it. You don't even need to learn how to drop. Did my stream crash? What's going on? Oh, I'm back. Okay. Thanks, yep, yep. I got a phone call. I'll be right back. Hey, so. I'm back. All right. Hey guys, feel free to ask any questions related to things like concept art, drawing. Makes the stream a lot more fun if we can talk about some stuff. We're getting pretty close to the end of the drawing. So the light's coming from here. This thing needs to cast a shadow. Don't like that. Shadow can be way closer to the cloth. It would just be sort of touching it, but not on the ones that sort of turn away. So here maybe just be like something like this. So then it feels like it's touching this one. So we're almost, actually, we're almost done with the sketch. I thought it would take way longer, but I feel like it's feels sort of balanced. So it's not gonna take too much longer. I mean, we could keep rendering the bejesus out of it. How can a comic book artist transition into working as a concept artist? Gali Tapet, please share your work. No, we'll take a look. It's much easier if you share your work and well, we can have a look, but I mean, I don't think it's that, you know, you gotta start just making a, character design portfolio, for example. I think it's gonna be necessary to create a new portfolio, so sort of a pain in the ass, unless you have, it's not, if you wanna get some like good character designs or prop design, maybe you can find a way to show, to select some comic book panels that show off design, or let's say you have some interesting designs in certain panels, you could sort of transform them into concepts, right? It used to be, there's some famous comic book concept artist, I don't know, probably a certain guy named Möbius. So yeah, comic book artists were the first concept artists because it, that job didn't used to exist. So yeah, Möbius was a very famous example of a concept artist. But feel free to show your work, and we can have a more in-depth look. Yeah, you gotta have a concept art portfolio, meaning you have to show off you can design stuff, that you can iterate on stuff. So iteration is very important in concept art. That you can create multiple versions of a thing to sort of try and find the best, the best one. put some kind of link in the chat, please. I don't want to go like find Discord and. I don't like what I did with those sketch lines. I'm gonna try a more custom approach. Just trying to create some interesting texture by using the, you know, oh, okay. Then that it's just, yeah. Put them on Discord. You know, no problem. I'll check it out there. Put them in. Put them in. Let's see. Oh, who's messaging me? Yeah, put them in. Like I don't know, imaginative drawings or something, or studies. Just whatever fits the thing, and tell me where you put them. Okay. So my one rule with this pencil is that I cannot change the pencil size. So if I have to do big areas, I'm sort of stuck doing it, you know, like this. I'm just imagining. I'm drawing with a mechanical pencil, and I have no other option than to do it like that. I sort of believe that just doing this kind of stuff will improve my technique. Oops. Oh no. It's okay. Let's see, how do we proceed with this thing? Hello, Rios. Thanks for joining. Hey, Ox. Just trying to find some more fish-like lines on the arm. But Rios, do you have any tips on making shading look more 3D? Yeah, definitely. Right. So first thing, step one would be to, when you have a shape, right? What you have to do is you have to find the terminator, right? So that's the place where basically you have the light, you know, cut off from the object. So at a certain point, light can't hit a certain object, right? And it's going to create some kind of shadow, right? We'll call that the form shadow, right? And so this is really important when you draw, right? So that you separate your lights from your darks, right? Step two is basically, doing the modeling, right? So from this, you know, let's say, and you keep the shadow pretty flat, right? And so the modeling is understanding where the lightest spot on the object would be, right? And those are the planes that are turned most toward the light, right? And then you're gonna do modeling in the direction of that full light area, right? And so the important thing is that basically, go to light values pretty much, you know, instantly, right? So you don't want to just do, just gradual changes, right? You want to always feel that terminator, right? Um, and so you want to go from shadow to light pretty quickly, right? So when you blend the terminator, you basically just have to think about how fast the form is turning, right? Do you have a shape like this, right? Or do you have a shape that is turning really sharply, like that, right? So the faster the shape turns, the soft, the sharper the edge of the shadow, right? And then, you have basically, the object will cast the shadow onto the ground plane, right? And light will bounce back in, light bounces around, so it will hit the ground, bounce back into the shadow, right? And so what you get is this area along the terminator that is actually the darkest, right? So if you follow those simple steps, right, you're gonna get pretty good result pretty fast. So yeah, we're gonna do some more rendering towards that full light, a little bit of blending of the shadow with the light, right? But it's really important to keep those values separated, the light values and the shadow values. In my image, my shadows are basically just completely black, right? So, I they're completely sort of blown out. But that's the thing, this is key. Separating your lights from your shadow. You can find lots of tutorials on that, right? You can like go to proco.com or the Proco YouTube channel, and they just explain everything. If you dig into the art fundamentals, you'll get a hang of it pretty quickly, I think. I'm sure you've heard about fundamentals, and then you're like, maybe it's just a little bit too much trouble. If you haven't, yeah, look it up. Art fundamentals. check out like the Proco channel or anything similar. What I'm confused about is that your render uses minimal shading for the halftone. I'm not sure I follow what you're saying here. But the thing is, you have to keep all your materials in mind as well, right? Right now, I'm just sort of copying whatever I'm seeing here. But the more, like I want you know, the clothing of the kid to feel white, so I'm just gonna be really subtle with with the shading, right? So, if I start using like dark values on it, it'll stop feeling white, right? Because I need those darker values on her dress. So it's really sort of about value economy. It's really difficult for me to control the half tones. Yeah, so look into something called Lambertian gradient, right? Uh, it's this Dorian Eaton, and then type in Google, do something like Lambertian gradient, and then it's some kind of tutorial called, you know, something like five shading mistakes that people make, right? Um, Oftentimes, you're using too dark halftones, and then will break the illusion of depth, basically. And you get something that's called dirty halftones, right? I mean, it's not really, the stream is not gonna be about, yeah. I'm not gonna be teaching now, but it's a like pretty cool tutorial if you look up Dorian Eaton, Lambertian gradient. Maybe it's maybe it's something that's something that a lot of people do wrong in their shading. Is this your full-time job? Yes, it's my full-time job. I'm a concept artist for video games. Freelance concept artist. Right now, I'm also a teacher, so right now I'm sort of in between two jobs. I got a teaching job next week, and then I got today as just a sort of off day streaming. But I like streaming my personal work a lot and often, so you can always come check out. If I don't have to work, I'm usually streaming. Hello, Psych. Thanks for the rose. Appreciate it. Do you practice drawing? Wait, I can't see the question. For 2 hours every day? I think a little bit more. Because right now the stream has been up for. Let me check. The stream has been up for 2 hours. And we're gonna do a little bit more today. I would say I draw around 4 to 6 hours. If I am working, it's more like 10 hours. You know, let's say I have a job for a client. You know, I'll be working 8 hours or 7 hours, or my last job required me to do. They wanted you to do 10-hour days, and you get one extra. I got one extra day off, so I had off on Friday. Oh wait, phone doorbell. All right, it's cookie time. I have this client, or old client, and they just send me cookies every Christmas. Oh, nice. What's this? Ooh. I got some speculoos. If you don't know this, basically some kind of cinnamon. And you see that like these illustrations, I made those. It's called a generous. Oops. So it's just a lot of, you know, this kind of stuff. Let's see. Let me make that bigger. So yeah, time for a snack. There's so many. These are good. Oh no, these are the best. These ones. So these are like really old drawings that I did. But they're very nice to keep sending. These ones with the chocolate, they have some like salt in it, and it just makes it so good. Mm. Mm-mm. Whoa. Hey, Toby. Sorry, Toby. I gave my fan club a stupid name. Like TikTok fan club. Yes, I have a technical issue with my mic. So I don't think so. But now you made me think she does. Now I gotta change the face. I don't see it, but I can't change like the association that you get. Because maybe I made her nose too much towards, you know. Can make it a little bit shorter. I don't know if that helps. I probably make it worse. I made it worse. Also dead inside. Ugh. So I'm attempting to create a new, like an extra layer of realism. It's just a sort of experiment piece to see how I can push this. I can push the rendering. So I sort of want to get rid of a lot of the black. You know, push the values closer together. See what it does to the piece. Hey Ox, yeah, I can speak French. Je parle français, pas de problème. Merci Ox. Oui, quand tu parles, tu peux écrire en français, mais je vais te répondre en anglais. Do you have any advice for final year fine art students before graduating? Get a portfolio going. Apply to as many places as you can. It's hard to just give sort of random advice without actually seeing what you make. what artist influenced your art style? There's a couple. There's like James Jean. There's Wesley Burt, James Gurney. Uh, there's a lot of old masters too. Uh, there's ones that I forgot. There's like this Greek artist who made a that made some kind of Quixote book. I think about that, even though I forgot his name. I think about that that book a lot. My brother has it at his place. What do you mean? I'm not hiding. This is what it's gonna be. Yeah, it has more contrast, but I don't want contrast. I want something more subtle. So I'm gonna work on that. It's artistic decisions. I always want to see if I can actually create something better. Hey, Ox, yeah, it's my profession. I'm a concept artist. Cool. Thanks, Inker. I just have them on Pinterest. That right eye is kind of messed up. What? That's better. I went to bed as well, so. Sorry, the eye is like millimeter work. Probably nobody is seeing what I'm seeing, but feel like it's a little bit off. Just a little bit. And it's driving me crazy. But I think we're, almost there. So you gotta fight the perfectionism, of course. Thanks, Mikhail. That's better. A good tip around the eye, you always have a section, right? Yeah, following sort of the eye, that's lighter, right? So around the lower eyelid, there's like a plane that follows the eye, that will catch more light. It's more of an up plane, right? So if you put your stylus on it, you know, you get the normal, right? Whenever the normal of the plane is pointing more towards the light source, it will be brighter, right? It's a good thing to remember. Oh no, I drew on the wrong layer. No biggie. Okay. Okay, guys. Girls. That's it for now. Well, I'm gonna check out what I'm gonna do with this background. And I'm gonna have some lunch. So thanks for joining me. Ox, I've mostly self-taught. Yeah, I went to an art school and they had really good, uh, they had a lot of model drawing classes. So, but it's not like they would help you with like your technique or something. So I just sort of learned everything myself. But in the school I used the school resources, right? So I did go to illustration school, and so yeah, I think having access to model drawing, live model drawing classes every day, I think that sort of helped me a lot. I went to those classes religiously. I went almost every day for like full 6 hours. I sat in with all other classes. We didn't have to go there, right? But I went daily. So I think yeah. So I'm mostly self-taught, but having access to this kind of stuff really helped me. Dozani, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm off to lunch. Thanks for checking this out. Um, we'll see if I can add a background or something to it. For the rest, take care. Have a good lunch. How old you? I was 25, I think. So I had to redo my year twice because I was more working for myself than working for the school. I was constantly drawing, but I was spending a little bit too much time in the model drawing classes, and I sometimes neglected my actual like assignments. So yeah, I had to redo my two times. So first, after high school I actually started 1 year of architecture, and then realized that I just want to draw. I just want to like, it's like the urge to become just like a character designer. I thought, in the beginning I thought I could like ignore it. In the beginning I thought, like, I'll do that in my free time, right? And I started something else, and then I was just when I was in university, it was just like no parental basically they were just like, oh, it's up to you now, it's like you're an adult. So you're just gonna we're not gonna like see if you're doing your work. And so during architecture school, university, I was just drawing characters like constantly during all the classes, right? So they were explaining all the type of bricks there were, and the way to put the bricks together, and so that's boring. And so so yeah, drawing characters in your, I used to draw the characters in my notebooks, but then, I bought an actual sketchbook, and I was just filling the sketchbook. Like, it was like, oh, nobody's saying, because in high school, people, I would be drawing during class, and then, the teacher would kind of get angry with you, right? But in university, nobody gets angry at you. They don't care. There's too many people. You're in the corner of the room. They don't care if you pass. They started out the thing. They start, like, the guy who did the stuff about all the materials. He was like, yeah, like 50% of you guys are not going to be here, are going to be here next year because you failed this class. I was like, oh, cool, and then I was drawing during that class the entire time. So I realized, yeah, it's just not, you know, I gotta, I gotta just go for it, because it's just a waste of time and a waste of money to be doing architecture. So when half the year was over, I switched my degree, and I went for graphic design in the same school. They didn't have an illustration department. They first didn't want to let me in, but I was just pointing at the school. I found the rule in the university. Basically, like, you were allowed to switch. They just didn't want to, but then, they were like, oh yeah, we already turned people down to for the same thing, and I was like, yeah, but it's in the rules, so you just have to. You're gonna have to let me in. And then, of course, they failed. They didn't. I couldn't pass there. This guy was not happy with me from the start. There was I like actually did all of the work I was supposed to do, also from the first semester, right? So I did double the work in the second semester, and they didn't pass me. Wasn't artistic enough or something. And then I switched schools. I did like you had to do like a test for the other school, and then I did like this digital painting of some kind of kid luring out a crocodile from under his bed, like, because the theme was something like brave or something. It was like a child facing his childhood fears. I don't know. And then I got in there, and I passed the first year barely, and then the second year they failed me again, because and then the third year, no, the second year I redid the second year. I passed, and then the other ones I managed to just pass. So that's the story. Oh, sorry, gotta sneeze. Ouais, j'avais dit que j'ai raté 2 fois quand j'étais à l'université, pendant quand je faisais école des arts, donc 2 fois j'ai raté parce que j'avais pas, je donnais pas assez de temps à faire les exercices. Donc, quand il disait, ah, tu dois faire ça c'est le projet, je faisais très mal parce que j'étais dans la classe de euh, life drawing class, modèle vivant, right? Et donc, ouais, j'ai fait, c'était 4 ans pour faire graduation. Et donc, j'ai fait les 4 en 6 ans. J'avais besoin de 6 ans pour faire mes études. Ouais, c'est pas forcément bizarre, mais c'est ça. Mais l'école aussi, c'était pas comme. Ouais, c'était un peu trop artistique pour moi. Ils aimaient pas des trucs comme concept art, character design. Donc, ils voulaient plus des vrais artistes. Yeah, so the school wanted more to have real, some real artists. Less, they didn't really like. They didn't really like concept art or, you know. I should have gone to Brussels where the same school had like a comic book, you know, department. But then I didn't want to do comics, so I always just sort of used the school to just benefit what I wanted to do, and of course, no, teachers don't like that. I'm basically, just not listening to anything they're saying. So it's not. I wasn't very good. I wasn't a model student. Oh look, I'm drawing the wrong layer again. No problem, Ox. Okay, that's it for maybe I'll be back after lunch because I'm just noodling now. Have a good one, and maybe I'll see you in a bit, or in like 2 weeks, because I gotta go do a class in Holland next week. Okay. But as always, I have a hard time stopping. Right. Take care. Bye bye. And have a good Friday. See you.